Hello, I'm Omar Sabah from Hello Middle East in Radio Robin Hood. Today, we meet with Mr. Teuvo Tikkanen. He got Master Science of Communication managed in Teuvo University, a strategic expert in international conflict issues and represented by United Nations in several missions. For example, for military peacekeeping missions in Cyprus, Yom Kippur War, Bosnia, and Kosovo. Long-term civilian observation missions in Bosnia, Kosovo, Macedonia, and Georgia. Election observation mission for long-term in South Africa, Malawi, Yemen, Nigeria, Tajikistan, and Afghanistan. Short-term election observation mission in Kenya, Ukraine, and Armenia. Hello, Mr. Teuvo.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. First, we are talking about the subject of the asylum seekers. The world has witnessed a wave of successive migration in recent years, and Finland was one of the countries that embraced refugees from Iraq and Syria in particular. What's your comment in this topic? And do you think refugees have a right to remain in Finland for a long period of the time?
Of course, the war in Syria and Iraq, especially in Syria, it has been so many years. And so how to stop these military activities and hostilities between the parties, it's very difficult because it has been too long time. But I have a feeling, and we have experience, that when Russia and the United States of America, if they agree that they start to solve this problem together, there has been always positive results. Of course it is difficult, but when I speak about Syria, the cooperation between Russia and United States is important.
But let me focus on the asylum seekers. Now many people came in Finland like refugees. What is the impact of Finnish society? Do you think that the invasion of other cultures in the community in Finland have a negative or positive impact in the future in Finland here in this country?
And the Finnish people have been in a way isolated and alone in far away from Europe and from Middle East here in Finland. They have certain difficulties to meet the foreign people, but they are friendly and they like the human rights, that everybody has the right to live and to work. But the problem is that this how to solve this refugee problem from Syria and Iraq, European Union cannot solve it at all. It should be United Nations and UNHCR. All nations have to support UNHCR, and it has to have certain resources and money. And they have to do that so that when people come from Syria and Iraq, they have to have big camps there and start to block people and then send, not that they come at once to Finland or to Germany, wherever. UNHCR can do it, but now it is confusing process.
For what confusing, sorry?
No, because then people come, for instance, here to Finland,
yes.
And then they speak in Finland how we have to do that people feel home here.
Yeah.
It happens only that you have work. It is not. There is not kind of just at once you help them or do something. People have to have their work and to work.
And this is my question. Do you have a view of how to integrate of immigrants into the job here in Finland that benefit from them? In which way, for example?
Of course, we have this process must be just to help them, not that how we can use them. No, it is not good. We cannot think so that we get quite good free labor to factories. No. We have it is the only that we help them. But just this how and then many when it is when there is for instance in Iraq, when there is a better time, people like to go back to their homes. It means not the house, but the area of the house is home area.
Yes.
Everybody wants to go back. We have to help this process also. I mean that the United States and Russia, they have to start to work very hard that the war stops, and then that people can go back.
And that's also the next question, because we are here and see a lot of demonstrations by refugees who have refused their asylum request in Finland. What do you think about the decision of Finnish governments forcibly returning of those people in their countries? Although it is those countries have a conflict until now.
Of course, sometimes the decision can be wrong because the security situation is not good enough in that area where they are sending them. But sometimes it is possible that the situation is better, and then it is okay. But I don't know exactly the process, that how it goes. And I don't know security situation in certain areas in Iraq. I don't know. I don't know that is it everywhere dangerous. I don't know.
So you are agree if there are some family go enforced in their country?
Some people, but not everyone. No. They have to check it better, and then people who are in danger, they have to be here.
So what do you think about the extensions of extremism among the refugees, especially after the events that took place in Berlin, Sweden, and France? What do you think about that?
No, I think so that when this terrorist attack has happened, every government, every president says that we have the war against terrorism and we will win. It is funny and stupid. It is not funny, but it is totally wrong, because you never can win the war against terrorism. What does it mean, the war against terrorism? The governments have to go to the roots in the Middle East. How these people, from where they come, what kind of difficulties, what kind of reasons they have in that area. I'm sure that it helps more why they start to do these violent works. And then, of course, many countries in these military conflicts, they have USA, France, Great Britain. They have killed thousands of people there, and they have destroyed the life of families of so many people that the terrorism comes from that. It is stupid to say that. Of course, they are single persons, but you can never win the war against terrorism, and you have better security systems, and then you start to control. Of course, you have to do that, but you have to go to the basic roots from where it comes.
You are mentioning about the the conflict in Iraq and Syria. What is the solution of this problem? In order to stop the bloody and violence between the people in these countries, what do you think?
It's very difficult to stop these conflicts between the people and because how this started, we have to know that when USA started the war against Iraq 2003, and immediately after the war, USA destroyed Iraqi military officers, how to lead the military. Then there was some kind of empty places where when it was a chaos. They developed the chaos. And now, for instance, in Syria, of course there are President al-Assad government is not so positive, and then there are this opposition. But media speaks about opposition that it is some kind of positive system against terrible al-Assad. Syrian opposition is not that totally. There are many kind of extremists and many kind of military groups, and they are fighting against everyone. But we have the experience that when Russia and the United States of America can agree something in this kind of a conflict, then the result has been positive in many places. And they have to start to cooperate and to start to stop this terrible violence. And everything is in chaos and terrible.
So you think is the solution of this problem came from outside the Syria? From the agreement between the United States and Russia?
The parties inside the Syria, they have to agree. But if somebody said al-Assad has to go, it is not a solution, because after that is chaos in the government. So Russia and United States, they have to force these parties to stop the violence. And of course, those parties inside Syria, they have to start to speak. It is very difficult, but they have to speak about this. It takes time and it is difficult. But first, of course, to stop firing, that people can live. It's a long process, but I see it so that first, two superpowers forced to stop the war, and then they cannot lead Syria. It has to be these parties inside. They have to, and it is difficult.
So in general, about this conflict there in Iraq and Syria, the violence and the wars, do you think it's because the weaknesses of the democracy process there and the exist of fascist governments, or because the international intervention in the affairs of those countries?
In Iraq, I see it so that it was international intervention. Of course, the government of Saddam Hussein was not totally positive, but there were many positive things in Iraq. There were schools, hospitals, and so on. And then Americans decided that Saddam Hussein has to go. After that is a total terrible chaos. I don't say that they were very democratic and so, but these Americans and who else, they should handle Saddam Hussein so that he has to go slowly, but so that to control everything in relaxed way and not military military intervention was a big problem and terrible.
But what do you think about the future of this country? Do you think that the democratic process, such as a free elections for the choosing national government, can be in those countries in similar way, for example, in parliamentary or presidential elections in European?
I don't like, of course, these democratic systems and and elections and democracy, they are important. I don't like to speak in the beginning about these at all, because it doesn't lead to any kind of solution. First, we or whoever, we have to start to help people. We have to help people who are in the most difficult situation. It means children, mothers and everything. We have to create atmosphere that people slowly, little by little, start to believe in other people who help and start. It is no idea to speak immediately that we bring the democracy. No, it is not a democracy and election. It is important a little later, but first people have to start to have some kind of idea about there are also good people, and that they can live. They have serious difficulties, and the basic idea is that we have always to start to help people who are in the most difficult situations.
But that led me to another question about the system regime in Middle East. Do you think that the totalitarian regime like Al-Assad in Syria, or the previously government in Iraq, or the monarchy in the Arabic Gulf, do you think this is suitable of the Arab peoples? They like it, that kind of the government?
I don't like, and I don't come to advise anything in Arab countries how to rule and what kind of governance. Arab people have to decide what is the best, and they have to give their votes, and they have to have elections. I don't know, is it easy? It is not the same as in Europe. They have the right to decide what kind of government. European Union cannot go there and say that what is the best. No, never. And it has happened many times that European Union goes, that is best to you. No. People have to, if they can do it, or if they have the right to do, they decide there what is good to them. It is not the same as in Europe. I hope that it is possible. Then we can support so that we build and we help and so on, but don't interview, don't go to say there that this is good, this is bad. No. It is not good idea. I feel so.
But there are some attempts happened in Arab country when starting the spring Arab country before 1 or 2 years. They tried to change the regime there, but they are failed about that.
Yes, and I think that in many times there has been some foreign agents and whatever who have supported this kind of projects, and they have not been alone. There are always this European Union and Americans somewhere near to try to lead this process. It is not so. It has not been so free, but we don't know exactly what kind. I think so. They have to try to do it alone. Freely.
You have made many visits in the Arabic region, and it is certain that you have an impression and image of the Arabic citizen. How do you analyze the personality of the Arabic man compared to the European person and Finnish person in general?
I can say that when I have met the Arabic people in the Middle East, for instance, I feel immediately they have a strong background. their ethnicity is thousands of years. They have a long history. And then if I compare to Finnish people are serious and whatever. For instance, in Cairo, you can speak to everyone, and they have the sense of humor. I like it. Maybe Iraq is a little different, but this Arab culture, it is positive, and then people can also live in some areas so that they are poor, but they are not poor like in former Soviet Union. They have something in their head what helps, and it is this religion. They have a strong feeling about the future of life, and it is good. They can be poor somewhere, but they are not suffering so much like some people in Europe. They are interesting people, and I like to walk in the cities of Middle East if it is peaceful.
And you are visiting many Arab countries, such like Egypt.
Actually, I have worked I have visited Tunisia. Then I have, as a tourist, then I have worked in Suez and in Sinai Desert. So I visited Cairo many times, and then Yemen. What else? And always it has been interesting.
So, what has taken your interest and why?
I was working in the Finnish battalion. I was nearly 2 years in Suez town and in Sinai Desert. It has been interesting to live in Sinai Desert in the middle of summer.
It's very hot.
I have experienced. Of course, I have visited Israel. It was one part of this conflict, and there are also positive things. When I was there, it was.
But let me return here in Finland. There are voices inside the community in Finland of people who have some kind of racist outlook, make some kind of a link between Islam and Muslims with the terrorist ideology. Do you agree with that?
Not at all, because it has nothing to do with the terrorist is terrorist. It is not connected to Islam. In my mind, I think so. They can be the terrorist or negative person. Of course, he or she can be Muslim and he belongs to Islam religion. But it is not the idea about terrorism. It is different. Some media says that these terrorists are because of Islam. Not at all. It is not religion. It is something else. Don't connect Islam and terrorism. They can be at the same time, many times, Islamic people, but it is not the reason.